You know, I don't make a habit of complimenting Donald Trump, but today I have to give him credit. He actually followed through on a major campaign promise. Bravo, Donald, for keeping your word. Now, let's see what that promise was. I hope it was fixing the water pressure in our toilets. And it says here he's implementing massive across-the-board tariffs on almost every country in the world, raising prices for American consumers, escalating a pointless trade war with American allies, and pushing the economy into a self-inflicted meltdown. No. Oh, let me check my 401k. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's a lot of red. Damn it, Donald, just go back to fixing the toilets. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. You guys, I know things look bad right now, but don't worry. Donald Trump is very confident.
From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers.
So wait, if I heard you right, the numbers will be better, but also those same numbers might not show it? How can numbers be better if numbers don't show it? Oh, holy he's going to start changing the numbers, isn't he? For too long, 1, 2, and 3 have been the lowest digits. Today that changes. The high numbers, they behave very badly, oftentimes, even savagely. Let's not forget that horrible day when 7, 8, 9. But you know what? I'm not an economist. Who am I to assume this is bad? Let's check in with the markets. Maybe everything is working out great. I mean, it's not, but let's roll the clip anyway.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. We're coming on the air because the stock market is plummeting in response to President Trump's escalating trade war. The Dow's down more than 1,000 points right now at the open. Economists are warning these tariffs could cause higher inflation and a possible recession, with Americans forced to pay more for everything from produce to clothing, electronics to cars.
Produce, clothing, electronics, and cars? Oh, no. Oh, my wife gave me a shopping list on Monday and told me to do it before the tariffs took effect. Oh, please don't be. Oh, zucchini, jeans, iPads, and a Ford Fusion. So early response is worse than the worst case scenario, worse than what almost everyone feared during the campaign. As you'll recall, Trump made two blatantly contradictory promises. On the one hand, he kept promising to bring down prices immediately. It was by far the biggest issue for voters, and the thing that, by his own admission, got him elected.
I won on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down. If I win, we will rapidly defeat inflation, and I will make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable. We got to bring those costs down. They call it groceries. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, everything is so much higher than it ever was, and we're going to bring that down. On day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. We're going to take care of inflation and quickly, and we're going to get those prices coming down very, very substantially and very quickly. We've got to get those costs down, and I'm going to get them down. We're going to bring those costs way down. When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Anytime you see us play that clip package, it's bad news. It's never going to cut back to me frying up a big old omelet I'm making with 3 eggs I bought for a nickel. Hey, thanks, Donnie. You're the best. That should have been the tell that Trump was full of. You can't bring down the price of anything in one day unless you're having a yard sale. And if the stock market keeps tanking, we might have to do one of those soon. Trump can stand on the White House lawn, plastic tables full of tchotchkes from the Oval Office, arguing with bargain hunters like, how much for this bust of Thomas Jefferson? Oh, it's a priceless antique. I couldn't part with it for anything less than $50,000. I'll give you $7.50. Sold. Any interest in an airplane? The engine works, but some dip got ketchup on all the seats. So Trump promised to bring down prices, but he also made another key promise, one that directly contradicted his promise to bring down prices. He wanted to impose tariffs on everything America imports.
If you don't make your product here, then you will have to pay a tariff, a very substantial tariff, when you send your product into the United States. And by the way, you know, for years they knocked the word tariff, properly used, is a beautiful word. One of the most beautiful words I've ever heard. It's music to my ears.
Tariff is a beautiful word. It's tariff, it's 2/3 of terrific, which is What the husband used to say to the wife about the meatloaf she made, that was terrific, darling, he'd say, or as the kids say, that was tariff. Now again, a tariff is just a tax on imports. Tariffs raise prices. You can't impose tariffs and lower prices at the same time. You can argue that targeted tariffs are worth it for some other policy goal, but you can't argue that they magically bring prices down. Many people warned repeatedly at the time that these two promises were contradictory. I saw one young plaid-loving gentleman on my TV who wouldn't shut the up about it. All this guy does talk about Trump. Get a hobby, dude. How about chopping firewood? You're certainly dressed for it. But he wasn't the only one.
My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries.
Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices, is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years.
But that makes no sense. Why does Trump think he can raise prices on other countries? It's not how it works. When you impose a tariff on a product imported from China, the American company importing that product is the one that pays the tariff. If countries could somehow just unilaterally impose taxes on other countries, that would be insane. Imagine if one day France said, we're imposing a 50% tax on wine from California. Every reality show would immediately go out of business. That was possibly the most insane thing Trump said during that debate, which, if you'll recall, was the same debate where he said this.
They're eating the dogs.
And if grocery prices keep going up, we're all gonna have to start eating dogs. And I know it sounds awful, but honestly, it tastes just like hamster. Trump has been asked about this contradiction repeatedly and suddenly changed his tune on the importance of lowering costs after the election. He said he couldn't guarantee that prices wouldn't go up. Just a few days ago, he told NBC News he couldn't care less if his auto tariffs increased car prices, and he ignored the question entirely during an interview on Fox.
You said the tariff is a beautiful word. There are some signs in the markets, consumer confidence, that they're a little jittery. So if all goes to plan, when do you think families will be able to feel prices going down, groceries, energy, or are you kind of saying to them, hang on, inflation may get worse until it gets better?
No, I think we're going to become a rich... Look, we're not that rich right now. We owe $36 trillion. That's because we let all these nations take advantage of us. Same thing, like $200 billion with Canada. We owe $300. We have a deficit with Mexico of $350 billion. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen.
So first of all, just ignore all those numbers because they're made up. That's how you know Trump is avoiding the question when he starts shouting numbers like he's behind the counter at a deli. 200 billion, 300 billion, 36 trillion. Actually, yeah, I'm number 9. Too late. I ate your sandwich. Sorry, couldn't help myself. I love
Bacon, lettuce, tomato.
Also, Bret Baier asked you when Americans will start to feel prices coming down. What happened to day one? Are you going to have to update that number?
I will immediately bring prices down starting on day 36 trillion.
So there was an irreconcilable contradiction between Trump's two big campaign promises, imposing tariffs and bringing down costs. And now we know which one of those promises was real and which one was bull. Spoiler alert, the bad one was real and the good one was bull.
President Trump officially announcing widespread, what he calls reciprocal tariffs, at least 10% on practically all goods coming into the United States, plus higher rates on dozens of countries that have the highest trade deficits with the United States.
This, I think fair to say, is worse than the worst case scenario of the tariffs that many in the market expected the president to impose.
Investors are alarmed and frankly shocked by the president's trade plan. Wall Street knew that tariffs were going higher, but not this high, not this fast, not this broad.
Prices of everything, and I mean smartphones, computers, cars, clothes, shoes, avocados, it's all about to go up on everybody.
So if you look at that, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing.
Oh, good. The guy in charge of the massive tariff plan had his announcement thrown out of whack because it was windy. Got a lot of faith in that team to think things through. Also, no, we can't read that. I think 8-point font, I think that'll be good. The list of countries being tariffed is so insane, even reporters can't make heads or tails of it.
What you're going to see now to the right of me are the countries listed on Trump's giant poster. Just look at it scroll. We had to speed it up because this is 185 countries. Trump took pleasure in it, detailing what he was about to do to these 185 countries. Some of the hardest hit places include the world's poorest nations. Others are in the midst of actual wars, physical wars. And look at the view if you just put up the map. Look at this map. It seems like nothing was too small to be included. That includes the Heard and McDonald Islands. It's a speck out there. See, we wanted to, it's a real speck because the population there is 0. According to the UN, just look, the merchandise exports, imports, and trade balance of that speck are 0. So when you look at that speck, which you wouldn't even know existed, I did not know that existed until today, and I love geography.
Reporters are spinning out. People who cover the news for a living are going through an existential crisis. Erin Burnett is learning about new countries she didn't even know existed, calling into question her lifelong love of geography because Donald Trump insisted on imposing a tariff on a tiny speck with a population of 0. Tomorrow we're going to tune into the Situation Room. Wolf Blitzer's going to be in his pajamas, smoking a cigarette. This just in, I'm Wolf Blitzer, and I'm sad, man. Also, look at that scroll. Look how many countries are on that list. A news channel should never have to scroll that fast through a list from the president. This is like a Best of Lou Bega CD commercial where they don't want you to see it's just different ways of saying Mambo number 5. Sure, we could make a joke about how Trump thinks the McDonald's Islands are where the Hamburglar is exiled, but in all seriousness, it turns out this whole tariff thing has more to do with McDonald's than we realize, according to Trump's Commerce Secretary.
In Korea, we started taking their cars in 2012 in exchange for us for selling produce and food there and agriculture. So McDonald's tried to bring in French fries. And you know what? They wouldn't let them take French fries because they said couldn't prove the origin of the potato.
I mean, can you blame them? Have you seen McDonald's French fries? I love them. But even the greatest scientists in the world couldn't figure out where the hell they come from. I don't know the origin. I don't want to know. If you looked at a full list of ingredients of McDonald's French fries, it would look like the scroll on CNN. But that, strangely, that was not the weirdest thing Lutnick said about the tariffs.
The European Union won't take chicken from America. They won't take lobsters from America. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
You want some beautiful beef? You want some beautiful beef tonight, baby? I'm going to take you to a restaurant and get you beautiful beef. Waiter, 2 pieces of beautiful beef for me. Make it beautiful, the beautiful beef.
Is he talking about American cows or firefighters? Now that's some beautiful beef right there. So what are we getting in return for all this economic pain? If the idea is to punish other countries for not taking our products, what products are we suddenly going to start exporting to the rest of the world that we weren't before? Maybe Trump's agriculture secretary has some ideas.
What specific commodity or farmer product do you want to see opened up, and into what country?
Well, listen, every country is different. So, for example, for our pork producers, a lot of the piece of the pig we don't eat in America, the feet, the tongues, et cetera, et cetera. But other countries, especially in East Asia, do. So let's open up those markets.
First of all, I'm pretty sure pig feet are a key ingredient in McDonald's French fries. But again, I don't want to know. I just want to eat them from the bag between my legs while I'm doing 80 down the Taconic. Second, now we're pivoting from being the wealthiest country in the history of the world to an economy based primarily on exports of pig feet. You really think there are enough pig feet consumers out there to make America rich? There are only so many weird European delis. Do you want to try some delicious pig feet? They're from America. It's what they're known for. Again, in some special cases, like steel and aluminum, you could argue that it makes sense to tariff imports from other countries in order to protect domestic American production. But in many cases, we import stuff from other countries because we don't grow much of it here. Like coffee, for example.
99% of coffee is imported. So unless we're going to ramp up Hawaiian coffee production, your cup of coffee every morning, you're going to face a price hit on that.
Oh my God, does that mean I'm going to have to pay $7 for a cup of coffee? Ha ha, joke's on you, I live in New York, so I already do. The only way to spend sub-5 on coffee in New York is to get it from a bodega that last brewed a fresh pot during the Dinkins administration. It's madness, it's irrational, it's mafia-style governance designed to bully the world into submission. It's a self-inflicted economic crisis, and it's worse than the worst case scenario most experts feared. Trump's own advisors can't explain what went into this plan, why certain countries were put on or left off the list, and where the tariff numbers came from. And the people who will be most immediately hurt will be small businesses, working class American consumers, and Trump is just picking a fight with the rest of the world. That's all he's doing. So in that sense, I guess, we're really producing more
beef.
Beautiful beef. Beautiful beef. It's been a closer look.